Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, chapter 106. This video's a little late because no one posted the English release on the Reddit. So I had to, wonder why people were posting reviews to the Reddit before I checked MangaDex and saw I'd been out for 3 days. But anyway, we're here now. And when we last left our heroes, Urza and Misaki were fighting inside Misaki's, personal dimension, and despite the fact that people can't move inside Misaki's dimension, Urza was able to use her armors and use magic through her armors to propel herself towards Misaki, puts up a good damn fight, and then the way the Azure dimension worked was a little weird to me, but somehow Urza's sheer magical strength or force of will or something changes the color of the dimension scarlet. And Urza ends up taking control and uses the dimension itself to beat Misaki. I think is what happened. It was the sort of thing that, was real good and rabble-rousing in the moment. And then you step back and you're like, what exactly is the rules of this dimension? But there's a minor quibbles. It was a really fun Urza fight. So yeah, with that said, let's dive right on in chapter 106, Flame and Moon. And our cover picture here is Gajeel working on building something or fixing something with Levi behind him. He's a do-it-yourselfer for his family. Just leave the ironworks to him. As a longtime Gale shipper, that just melts my fucking heart. We stand Gajeel and Levi. Anyway, chapter 106, Flame and Moon. And we pick up pretty much where we left off, with the fight over. Urza and Misaki both reappear in the main dimension, in the cave with Gray, Gajeel, and Carla. And they both hit the ground. It's unclear who speaks what. Urza! And that lady's back. And then, as Urza gets up, she feels the pain from the time she spent in the other dimension. Because even if she won the fight, she still had... she still took quite a beating inside the Azure dimension. Ah! Also, they don't know that, Urza took over in the other dimension. So, Misaki's going to be going through it a lot worse than Urza is. But Carla reacts, oh no, her damage from the alternate space is accumulating. And then Wendy and Lily show up. Sky Dragon's breath. And seemingly, heals Urza from the pain while it's happening. And Urza, I think she still took the beating, but maybe Wendy stopped it from getting worse, because she still looks beat the fuck up there. But she lets out this little, and Carla reacts, Wendy! And Gajo's kind of angry. Lily was with her too? And Gray goes over to, cradle Urza. If there are any Grayza shippers still around, here's the moment for you. Stay with us, Urza. And Wendy approaches them. I just cast a bit of recovery magic, but the damage is worse than I thought. And Gajeel, again, not knowing that Urza sort of took over in there, still sees Misaki as the immediate threat. What about the other lady? But Misaki has taken all that accumulated damage, and she's out. She is down for the count, not getting up. And Gray's just a little stunned at just, how powerful Urza is. The odds were totally against her, and she still got the job done. And Carla comments, that's our Urza. Which also, I commented yesterday on Eden Zero how, the climax of yesterday's chapter felt like it might be the kind of thing that, if this were still, 2013, 2014 era Mashima fandom, people would have gotten really livid about, or at least somewhat livid about. And anything that, that's our Urza is just reminiscent enough of Happy's iconic because she's Urza line that I can see people getting pissed if this were 7 or 8 years ago. Either way, Gajeel turns to Lily, who is still carrying Haku at Wendy's request, and asks, so what's with the kid? And Lily looks at him and tells him, an enemy. Wendy wouldn't leave him behind, but... and Gajeel just sort of gets on to him, just leave him. He's the enemy, right? And Wendy asked the two of them, would it be alright if we laid him next to that woman? Just Wendy's just so nice, given, making sure that even the enemies still, stay together. But Haku wakes the fuck up because he sucks, and I hate this boy, and he, jumps onto Wendy. No way! I want to stay with Wendy! And Lily's just, you brat, you were still conscious? And Gajil just, like, slams him down. Don't just spring back up like that, little punk. Yaff! And with that, Haku was really unconscious. And, you know, the gang puts the two Dark Dragon Slayer Knights together. They get to sort of commenting on their situation. That just leaves Natsu, Lucy, Happy, and Loxus. I hope we can join up with them somehow. And then we see Lucy is still unconscious as a result of her fight with Kiria, and like Virgo is like rope bound her to her back. It's definitely a thing. As Loxus comments, "Is that any way to carry someone?" And Virgo tells him, "Indeed, the princess likes it this way as well, I believe." And Loxus is just, "I feel sorry for Lucy just for being with you." Which, like, yeah, you know, I've commented in the past, you know, that, like, there's something different about the way, like the whole punish me has always been sort of part of Virgo's thing. But really, in this arc, and maybe even in 100 Years Quest as a whole, I have to go back and look at it, but especially in this arc, it feels a bit more, like, in the past, the punish me thing was a little vague. It was just punish as, like, a concept, if that makes any sense. Whereas here, you know, she tells Loxus, "You were in the middle of spanking me," is the direct thing she tells him. We have, like, there's a word for it, the rope bondage. Wise had a gag about it in the training pre-Aoi War, and, like, the gag was that they weren't doing this, they were just being, like, roped up like a cocoon. Like shibari or something. I'm not familiar enough with BDSM terminology, but it's a lot more specific, we're seeing, from Virgo. And it does feel kind of tied into the much more explicit BDSM vibes that Eden Zero sometimes has, in my opinion, its worst moments. But either way, that's where we are right now with Virgo. And then we cut to Natsu and Suzaku, who are still hunting down Ignia. And they note a discovery. A staircase to the underground. And Natsu is just gung-ho. "Alright, time to attack!" And Happy chimes in, "Aye, sir!" But Suzaku stops him. "Wait." And Natsu turns around. "Did you not notice? For some time now, the atmosphere has grown thick with magic power, every level we descend." And Natsu just questions, "Yeah, what about it?" "It means we may be close to the deepest depths. So take heed." And Natsu just brushes him off. "I know." And Suzaku, and like Natsu runs down the stairs. Suzaku calls off, "You cur." But Happy's just, "Wait for me, Natsu." But then Natsu stops and tells Suzaku, "If anything, you're the one who hasn't been careful till now. From the moment Ignia showed up, I've always been ready for war." And I do, you know, Natsu has grown up to a degree, in like the 2 years we've been following his life. Which, like, given how long, at least I've been reading this series, just suddenly hit me, Natsu's grown 2 years in that time. Because it's been 7 years, like, frozen. Which is a weird thing to suddenly realize, but okay. Putting that aside for now. But, you know, he's not the same sort of, just fight and everything will be okay. He's confident. You know, he thinks he'll win. Or he thinks he has a decent enough chance at winning. But he's like, he's not happy-go-lucky here. He's playing it off. But at his core, as he tells Suzaku here, he knows this can be bad. He knows that shit's gonna go down here. And if they fail, you know, that's gonna be really, really bad for them. And Suzaku takes a moment to sort of acknowledge Natsu's determination. And they head down the stairs. And they enter this, like, far more organic looking cavern. Well, like, in the past, it sort of has this, there's a cave vibe to it, but there's a sense that this is, like, man-made and sort of lost to time. It's a labyrinth. Labyrinths don't spring up naturally. It has stairs, it has walls, it has pillars. This is a cave. There's this giant tree root hanging down, or like, multiple tree roots going from the ceiling to the floor here. Moss all over the place, mushrooms on the ground. It's very natural in a way the labyrinth isn't. And Suzaku looks around. How odd. There's quite the different air about this place. And Natsu sniffs around. That's Ignia's scent. He's here. Somewhere on this floor. And there's also these crystals everywhere. Which, like, crystals aren't really a thing, or, like, aren't really an important thing in Fairy Tail, but it's an interesting little appearance there. You know, it's not like the stalactites on the ceiling these seem like smooth and carved. I don't know. Probably nothing. Probably set dressing, but it's interesting. And then we cut to Ignia, who is at this shrine. This might be Alefsaria's heart, actually. Because that is what's powering, or was it Dogramag's heart? Whatever is powering the lab. It's the heart of Alefsaria, is what it was. That's powering this whole labyrinth. That might be where this is. And Ignia looks at it. It took long enough, but looks like it's finally ready. Dogramag. Or is this the heart? Is this Dogramag's body? Because I thought it was Alefsaria's heart. That is what everyone was looking for here, right? Oh, this is interesting. Because Ignia then says, I get it. So you use this heart to advance the plan, huh? You really were my one true friend. Okay, so there's a plan here. Because with the other dragons, it felt like they were just sort of around and causing problems. Mercphobia wasn't really causing problems, but he had the power to cause problems, and I think he caused problems in the past, and thanks to Toka's meddling, or not Toka, thanks to Ferris's meddling, he ended up causing a lot of problems in Almira. Alderaan was, initially just sort of there, but then thanks to Selene's meddling, he ended up just sort of rampaging. But and Selene had something akin to a plan, but it seemed to just sort of cause mischief on Earthland because it's fun. So all of them, it didn't really seem like there was a scheme going on. But Ignia here, you use this heart to advance the plan. There's some sort of plan that he and Dogramag and maybe Viernus is the other one's name, who we still have not seen hide nor hair of all series. They seem to have something going on. Some scheme. I don't know what it was. But the heart sort of radiates energy, and Ignia looks at it. Only you had the same idea I had. And he picks it up. Now let's get this started. And then there's this, warping of space behind him. Given the title Flame and Moon, I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that's Selene. And it is. Instantly on the attack. Shocking Ignia. I love, this is a strong contender for thumbnail for this chapter right here. That's just a badass little shot there. Selene, on the warpath. Ignia a little stunned. And he turns back. Selene. And Selene just looks at him. Ignia. And she slashes at him. Ignia, blocks it with his wrist. And comments, that's some way to say hello. And Selene tells him, I'm not going to hand that over. And Ignia just holds it. The heart of Alefsaria the Law Dragon. His heart from back when he was human, that is. He remembers where to find every single weapon made by man. And you were going to use them to kill me and Viernus. Okay. So it's specifically he has the knowledge of every weapon. I'm trying to think back to that first conversation we had about the heart. That it hid I think he said that it was it could, something about a weapon that rivaled face, I think is what it was. And it's not just a weapon to rival face, it's also every single weapon that Alefsaria as a human knew. Which, that's interesting. We'll see what comes of that. But Selene tells him, truly, I never imagined you'd desire the power of humans as well. And Ignia just tells her, I got no interest in those weapons. And sort of shocks Selene. I want to take a moment, though, because this whole situation, the fact that Selene could just warp here, sort of sets up how kind of, I guess, hubristic Selene is. She was gonna just or maybe she couldn't warp here until someone she knew was here. She didn't warp to the chamber, she warped to Ignia or something. Because otherwise, either that, or she could have gotten here anytime, and she just had the humans fight each other for her own amusement. And fully confident that whoever walked out, she would be able to just crush in an instant if she needed to. Which goes to show how big she sees herself. Or again, she required a person that she knew to be here to warp to them. I don't know. Either way, I got no interest in those weapons. And I don't need this heart anymore either. Oh, he just doesn't want her to get those weapons. Selene calls, stop! And he burns the heart. Okay. So that doesn't kill off Eleftheria. He's so disconnected from his heart, right, that he wouldn't actually die by that, if I'm not mistaken. Though I may be very, very wrong. But Selene is just stunned at this, and we cut to outside the labyrinth. And Eleftheria drops out of that little pocket dimension Selene had him hidden in. And the crow, whose name one day I will remember, but it's not today, calls out, Eleftheria-sama! Hang in there! Eleftheria-sama! Okay, so it seems that is killing Eleftheria. Goes to show what I know. We come back into the basement, where Ignia and Selene are just still, like, facing off, as, you know, the heart crumbles to ash. And Ignia sort of, like, winks at Selene. Dogramag was using that heart to advance a certain plan of his. Or should I say, a plan of mine. Okay, he was using the heart, but also he destroyed the heart. So whatever the two of them needed the heart for has already happened. And Selene sort of looks at Ignia, and Ignia comments, that face. It's as if you can already take a guess. And Selene tells him, I won't let you. And Ignia questions, why are you siding with humans? And we see both of them, their scales are sort of starting to cover their face. They're transforming. Selene comments, because the age of dragons is over. But Ignia comments, nope, it's only just beginning. And they both that's the fucking panel right there. That is the thumbnail. Both of them transforming, the labyrinth crumbling around them as they both explode to their natural height in their dragon form. And Ignia taunts, I'll turn every trace of you to ash, Selene. And Selene teases back, not before the moon's distortion erases you, Ignia. And because they're so big, Natsu and Suzaku can see them too. That's Ignia and Selene! To be continued. Okay, so, good shit here. This chapter is, largely set up. It's one part denouement, and one part set up for the big dragon fight, which, now that I'm thinking on it, might be our first dragon versus dragon fight since, Ignial and Acnologia, way back in the Tartaros climax. Given that they were the last two, given that after that, every other dragon that we knew about died, or their last of their energy faded, or however you want to call it, it was just Acnologia for a while, and the Dragon Slayers killed him. But now we have dragons again, who are fighting each other. So that's gonna be big and explosive. That's gonna be fucking fun. Just the sheer giant fucking power there. Also, in a basement, so they're gonna, wreck the entire labyrinth around them, I'm willing to bet. They broke most of this floor, enough so that, the walls crumbled, allowing, Natsu and Suzaku to find them. But anyway, back to the denouement. It's largely just sort of, God, Urza's a badass. As we all know, Urza's just a badass. That's her thing. Haku still sucks. And good on Gajo just knocking him the fuck out. But then, yeah, we got a little bit of Lucy, who's just still sort of unconscious with Loxus. And actually, bringing up Loxus, given the Ignia and Selene thing and the Heart of Dogramag, which has sort of been the goal of this whole labyrinth battle, now that that's out of play, what is really the point of Fairy Tail and Diabolos fighting at this point, right? What do they gain from this clash? Because they're not fighting over the heart. The heart is destroyed. I mean, maybe, this is kind of a three-way conflict of Ignia and then Selene, Diabolos, and Fairy Tail. So, Fairy Tail and Diabolos can still clash, while also being opposed to Ignia, even though Natsu and Suzaku are in a kind of tenuous alliance right now against Ignia. Though, oh, that's my medicine alarm. Though how that will change now that Selene is also on the playing field. Will Natsu want to take on both of them while Ignia is, allied with Selene right now? Though also, Selene did kill Yorg, so maybe Suzaku will want to, take this opportunity now that he's allied with Natsu to go after Selene. I don't know. Also, Natsu seems much more equipped to like fighting Selene than he is Ignia, given he's a fire user. I don't know. So we'll see. Like this moment drastically shakes up. Drastically shakes up the playing fields of the labyrinth. You know, is this still going to be a fairy tale versus Diabolos thing now that everything has changed? The heart is destroyed. The dragons are fighting. What does the petty conflict of guilds matter against the force of these two dragons? Then also there's the plan, which like this is our first moment getting a distinct sense that there is some grander scheme at play that our heroes and even most of the villains just don't know about. That Ignia had some goal, or has some goal. He and Dogramag had a goal. And what that goal is still remains to be seen, but it will definitely end up coming into play later. I don't know. Lots of things to ponder as we wait another 2 weeks to find out what happens next. But yeah, the dragons are here. They're about to throw down. That's going to be fun as hell. But until then, we're just going to have to wait to see what all comes from that next time. So for now, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!